Has got a lot of Raiders fans out here, Colin, and understandably so. They're excited. They got Ashton Jeanty with the 6th overall pick. They got Geno Smith as their new quarterback, and your guy Chip Kelly is the new OC. Interesting on Ashton Jeanty. Remember at Boise, he had that upright backfield stance where he would just stand up and kind of look like, I think they were comparing him to Michael Myers, the character in Friday the 13th who chased people with a knife. Well, Halloween. Chip Kelly has got him to tweak it, and here he is talking about Genty, talking about his new backfield look.
What's crazy is, man, Chip Kelly, he comes to me the first day of rookie minicamp. He like, you play basketball? Like, you ever play basketball? I'm like, yeah, I played basketball. Like, you know, I could dunk, all that. He's like, okay. He was like, show me how you would guard me. Like, and he acting like he holding the ball. He like, show me how you would guard me. He holding the ball. Like, act like you holding the ball.
Okay, got it, yeah.
Then I'm like, I'm here. Like, I'm, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, that's exactly why you got to be down in your running back stance.
There he is standing up.
Right.
I mean, listen, it was funny at Boise State. I get it, but I think Chip Kelly's onto something. You've probably got to get into more of a stance like a running back.
If you're standing and I told you to run, you need a step to start running.
Yeah.
If you're leaning forward in the chair, that basketball, it's called the chair stance, you don't need a step. You are running. So the truth is, you get off to a quicker start crouched over standing, and also he's already a small running back. Crouching makes him harder to see for safeties. So there's an aesthetic to it as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. Genty, I don't know what to make of him, Colin. Again, he was like a transformative player in college football. Is he going to really pop and be like a Barry Sanders? I mean, obviously that's a crazy.
I think he's going to be really good. I think it was a great running back class, and every single scout I talked to had Genty above the class. They liked Hampton a lot as well, but I didn't talk to. I talked to one executive in the league who I respect, who thought he was the best player.
Wow.
Because of Travis Hunter having to play both, he goes, you have to pick what he is. He goes, if you are telling me positionally, what player is best at his singular position? He said, I would take Ashton Jeanty. And by the way, everybody else I talked to had him like 4, 3, 6.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to pop. Pete Carroll knows personnel. So does Chip Kelly. I think he's going to pop.
So I'm just curious, this offensive skill position guys, right? They got Genty in the backfield. Their receivers are Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, and then the young kid, Jack Beach. Tight end is Bowers.
Yeah.
It feels like they're going to be defended in a box because they don't have really a stretch the field guy unless you think that's Tucker. So they could be easy to defend if that makes any sense.
I think any team. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're a great team, but I think they will be so much better at quarterback and so much better at running back, popping, and head coach. I think they're. I said this last year. If the Vikings finished 4th, they didn't. It would be the best 4th place team ever. The Raiders last year, and they were as bad as any team in the league at quarterback, gave the Chiefs fits twice. They will be, the Raiders, if they finish 4th, will easily be the best 4th place team in the division. I don't think there's any question in the league.
In the league, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about this. First off, the whole thing about getting lower and stuff like that. Man, that's like sports 101, man. Like you're taught to be like on the balls of your feet, on the balls of your feet, and kind of getting low in a power position, and in every sport you play. Football, basketball, baseball, soccer, like everything is always like, and a coach always will comes up to you and say, stand up straight. And then they like push you and you like kind of fall back and they're like, okay, now get low like this. And then you push them and like, you don't really move. And it's like, see, that's a power position. Like I've had so many coaches say that. So to have them even like talk about it right now is kind of hilarious. I'm also like, don't understand that Ashton Jeanty never had a coach that kind of like would talk to him about that. Like Chip Kelly is the only one to ever do that. I'm kind of like, that's a head scratcher for me, honestly. But like the other thing is, and I don't want to get too into like the whole mechanics of it all, but in sports, again, in any sport, baseball, basketball, soccer, like you always want to minimize like wasted wasted motion, like extra steps, for instance. Like probably like a little bit of an easier example for this that I think maybe paints the picture probably the clearest is stealing. If you're playing baseball, it's a little bit harder to show you, but like a lot of sometimes people steal, and right, what it is like I got to run to the right, and so but I'm facing forward like this, and so you can steal, and sometimes people just their feet are planted, and then they turn their body, and then they start to run, but their legs stay where they are. When in reality, what you want to do is like your first step, this is your back foot. Again, it's hard to show you. You want to bring your back foot forward already. Like it's the one motion's already bringing forward because you're faster. If your first move is already moving forward rather than just turning your body, that you're talking about milliseconds here, and that's the difference between being safe and not. And so much of that is going to be the same thing in football as well for various things. But there's a big but. Sometimes it is not a matter of what's technically more efficient and what's just comfortable. Sometimes that extra motion, it actually gets you more easily in a power position. Again, baseball is probably really going to continue to be the best example because there's so much extra motion. Whether you're pitching, whether you're hitting, there's extra. You have baseball players, a lot of times if they're holding the bat, they like tap the bat on their back, or they go back for a second. Pitching, you have pitchers like through their windup, they kind of bring their arms up. Like there's extra motion that technically you don't need, but it does kind of set this groove. I even had a coach years ago, point out Tiger Woods and just be like kind of how he has this little wag of the golf club a little bit. It just gets you in the rhythm. And Genty, it could be, right, for him just being a little bit more straight up, and then it's just kind of like you just like rock into the position that you want to be in. So, it's that's why coaching is always an art and a science. Like it might be better, it might not be, it might not matter at all, and it's just like kind of what Genty always does, and it's always kind of a thing. Like it's it all depends. It all depends on what is actually helpful, what is actually hurtful, what is actually just kind of makes you feel comfortable and confident, and ends up having a neutral effect in terms of like the actual mechanics of of the play, the game, whatever sport we're talking about now. But it just does make you feel like you're kind of in it, right? Like you're rocking into it. All athletes kind of have very much similar thing. That's the reason why Patrick Mahomes does this thing like every 5 seconds, right? Like it's just a thing that just like gets him into it. Like it doesn't actually fundamentally do anything from externally, but it does, plenty for him. And like I said, so many athletes have that, and it could be something as little as Ashton Jeanty likes to just be like straight up, because it's just kind of like, I'm chilling. And then for him, it's just like kind of like he just wants to snap right into it. He doesn't want to be ready, right leading up to it. That he just kind of needs to just be like, I'm chilling, and go. Like it's just, I don't know. It's like I said, it's an art and a science. But it is funny to like, because he did an interview with what's her name, Kay Adams or whatever, and she was like, oh, that's so great. And it's like, oh my God, guys, like, what are we talking about here? Like, yeah, you get on the balls of your feet, you kind of rock, and you get low, and it's like it's always the power position, Colin called it the chair stance. It's funny. I've had lots of high level basketball coaches, and I don't think anyone I've never been even told that before, honestly. Like I've maybe that's more common, but not where I'm from. Like I said, I had Guinness World Record 3-point shooting coaches, literally no exaggeration, and I've never been told that. So a lot of coaching is also depending on where you live, where you're from, where you come up. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick kind of used to make fun of each other, I guess, or Tom Brady used to make fun of Bill Belichick for not understanding the offensive terminology that they were talking about. And it's just like kind of crazy that you think like Bill Belichick could fail to understand like the offensive terminology in the NFL with his own quarterback. Like it just kind of shows you kind of how, not everyone's always speaking the same language. But I find it so hard to believe that no one ever explained to Ashton Jeanty that you're stronger in a lower position. And you have Chip Kelly be like, how would you guard me in basketball? Like, that just brings me back to being like 10 years old. Seriously. I mean, I've just had so many coaches push me in that regard where you're like, all right, you know, stand up straight, and like they just push you and you're just like, oh, and then, you know, as a bunch of 10-year-olds, you're like, oh, you're stronger lower. You have coaches be like, try to throw a football sitting down, you know, sit in a chair, you know, now throw the football, and you throw it, and it's like, you're not that strong. They're like, now stand up, now throw it, and they're like, what's the difference? It's your legs, the power, it comes from your legs, your thighs. Everyone thinks it's upper body, thinks it's your arm, it's actually your lower body. That's where the power comes from. And they have all those examples. In basketball they have that, in baseball they have that, in football they do that. Like, you know, it's like in batting, it's just like, you know, so the power comes from your lower body, you know. So I don't know. It's just funny, but I think, and this is really what I actually want to talk about, but I just got totally sidetracked by that because it's just entertaining for me personally. This whole thing about the Raiders. The Raiders, this is true, prior to this season essentially did not exist to the media, right? Like, it was just like not a conversation about the Raiders. And now you have J-Mac be like, oh, we got a lot of Raiders fans. And it's like, yeah, they always existed. You just never talked about them. And I just think it's so great to have this fan base, to have this team kind of, you know, back in conversation. And you hear the media talk about this a lot. They talk probably a little bit more about it in basketball than football. But they'll say like, oh, the league needs the Knicks to be great. The league needs the Lakers, etc., etc. And, you know, for me, I don't think it's like that in football. And they'll still mention that in football because Colin said, like, I think the football is better with the Chicago Bears. You know, he said that last season. You know, the NFL will be better with a popular Chicago Bears team. And the reality is for me, it's just kind of like, one, I know the Raiders fan base is so insanely passionate and intense about their team, which I love, and I love interacting with that, and I love having that fan base matter and that team matter. But also, I just love the variety of us not having to talk about Lamar Jackson versus Joe Burrow, you know, Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. It's just like, I can create that content, I can consume it, I can enjoy it, but it's just so like, again and again and again. Like, I'm so confident that this coming season, with all those quarterbacks, Lamar, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, we will essentially just copy and paste the exact conversations that we've had for the last 3 years. I mean, it's just, it's going to be like, just, you're in Groundhog's Day. The first game that Josh Allen plays, you know, Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, who needs this win most? Does this win prove anything? Prove things have changed? Like, it's just going to be the same thing again and again and again. And when now, it's in a way, it's kind of cool that the Raiders were kind of hibernating for, unfortunately, years. And now if they can just get reintroduced, so to speak, to the NFL world, it's just such a breath of fresh air. And if you get a really exciting, dynamic team that I believe that the Raiders are building, it just brings so much energy and excitement and juice. And it's just like, I'm going to be excited on Monday or Tuesday, you know, depending on when you're playing and stuff, like, to be like, oh God, the Raiders, like, you know, like, it's going to be so easy to bring that energy rather than just, again, talking about the Bills for the 20th time, you know, like, it's hard to get going. And especially because the teams, and they've earned the right, like the Bills and the Ravens and the Eagles and whatnot, that if they beat the Tennessee Titans or whatever, it's just like, I admit this all the time in the videos, I'm just like, I'm not drawing strong conclusions from this. I don't care if Josh Allen throws for 500 yards and 10 touchdowns. It was against the Carolina Panthers. Like, it just doesn't mean anything to me. You know, it really doesn't. And with the Raiders, even if they're beating teams that are 0-5 or whatever, it's just like, they're reintroducing themselves. They're rebuilding this culture, this franchise, this team, you know. And I just think every step along this journey, will be interesting to watch, right? Like, there'll be no skippable games. They could be playing backup quarterbacks, coaches who are about to get fired, interim coaches, amazing teams like the Chiefs or Ravens or Bills or whoever. And it's just like, I'm excited to see what this all looks like and how this all comes together. And, you know, I'm just grateful for that, because we need teams like this. And I don't think the Raiders are, I don't think they're going to drop the ball here. So I'm excited. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Las Vegas Raiders, Ashton Jeanty's stance, Chip Kelly coaching, J-Mac saying that this team is going to be easy to defend? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.